Hey everyone, I'm Angelos and this is Paddy, and we're going to be talking today for JustStarTrek.com about our thoughts on the episode 1 of season 2 Discovery. So Paddy, what did you think?
Well, as Uhura is not here, hailing frequencies open. Well, for me it was a setup episode. It's to fill in that backstory about Burnham and Spock and Sarek, and to give us a bit of context to that. So in reality, that's what the main part, for me, the story was about. And I rescued people. So,
Which is
yeah.
good,
Yeah.
because I think season 1 was a little bit more about hurting people and war as opposed to doing what Starfleet is meant to do,
Yeah.
which is save and set an example, right?
And I know from an engineering point of view, I see they've rescued an engineer who clearly did the brain surgery course at the academy, which I sadly missed out on. So that was quite interesting too.
She seemed quite an interesting character, didn't she?
Yeah.
Quite quirky, quite three-dimensional. I know we've only seen her for a little while, but I kind of prefer her to Stamets.
Well, I hope we see more of her. It was sort of, she had that throwaway line, I thought it was something serious.
Yeah.
We're all going to die. And the fact that she said, you're not speaking Klingon, so we must have won the war. I would like to see it. I know you're not a Stamets fan, and not a Tilly fan, and not a fan of Discovery generally, but I think it's a bit like a Simon Pegg version of Scotty, a sort of a quirky, humorous, off-the-cuff, sarcastic type engineer. So.
And I think that's what Discovery needs, a bit of humour.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It is a Scotty 2.0 from the new films.
Yeah.
What do you think of Pike?
I like him very much. I'm glad to see he's wearing the current Starfleet uniforms, which we're obviously sporting. It's nice how they've introduced that. I don't think there's a problem with that. Military forces and the Royal Navy's just done this recently. They've gone a complete rebrand on their uniforms, so I think that works quite well.
Yeah.
And they look good. I said the cut of it's quite nice, and I guess like all these actors have had to slim down and get fit, and which is something you and I obviously do all the time.
Exactly. And I think it's nice that we have this clearer command structure now, where you have the captain at the top, and then the family and the officers underneath. Everyone kind of knows their position. And I think perhaps that's where season 1 was a little bit weak, in the fact that you had Lorca, you had Georgiou, you had, God knows what's going on. Then you got Saru, and then you got Michael, and then it wasn't clear. And I think fans prefer to have a clear structure. Well, personally, I prefer a clear structure. Everyone knows who the father or the mother figure is in terms of Janeway. And then that way, it's just clear for everyone. You've got the commander, you've got the supporting officers, and also, Paddy, for the first time in 16, 17 episodes, I don't know how many we've had in season 1 and 2 yet, we actually know some names of the bridge crew.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch.
It was.
It's like a roll call, isn't it? But the interesting thing about, talk about Pike being in charge, but he did defer back to Saru when his mission effectively was over because the Red Angels weren't there, and then Saru went back in the chair to do the rescue. So obviously, clearly, I think it's quite a diplomatic thing for him to do, because he just literally appeared out of nowhere, taken over. Could put a few noses out of joint or a few ganglion, I guess. So that was a nice touch.
Yeah. So overall, you like the episode?
Well, I like Star Trek. Yes, I know it's there are canon problems with some of the things in it. I like the nice touch with the uniforms. I like the technology employed. We're not going to go back to. Well, I know we haven't seen Spock yet, but putting sort of coloured discs,
cartridges
into things and big buttons. And they've clearly re-imaged the bridge of the Discovery. It's a brighter.
Yeah. And that's a really good point, Paddy. I'm really pleased that the studio can now afford better lighting, because in the first season, everything was dark or very dark blue.
Well, that could have been a thing to do with Lorca and the Terran Empire. That could possibly have been a little bit, because the good thing about that season is at the end they went through all the sort of little clues as to they were there, and then of course there was Pike picking up the sort of the fortune cookie thing, which also has a reference to Star Trek in it.
Yeah.
And so yes, I thought it was very clever what they did. Yeah, clearly there are a lot of issues, like why does the Enterprise turn up all the lights on, but it's broken down.
It's broken down. It's being towed away by these butt ugly tow barges very slowly, and and then when Burnham, she goes on board the Enterprise, they have these like really horrible looking red doors, and you think, well, I never saw any red doors in the original series.
I mean, refit, maybe
Yeah,
refit,
okay.
better
Yeah,
colours.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that.
But Spock's quarters, there was lots of things in Spock's quarters that were linked into Spock on the original series, like the loot, the bells. There was that partition as well. So, but it obviously did look different. But there were references to the future, as we know it.
Can I share my feelings on?
Absolutely.
Because I've got to get it off my chest. Okay, it's probably the best episode of Discovery that I've seen so far, but that isn't saying much. And I'll tell you the reason why. I feel that the writers have to keep going back to the old well of established characters. So whether it's Pike, whether it's Spock, whether it's whatever else. And I feel that the writers just don't have enough confidence in their own creations to just lead it and drive it. And you see it time and time again. I mean, the bridge crew, no one had really an episode dedicated to them. So if you look at Voyager, DS9, Next Generation, you have these micro episodes where you explore this character, Data, Tasha Yar, whoever it is. Whereas, we've got a robot on there, we've got a few other guys. And I think it's really disappointing that we keep focusing on Michael Burnham. Now, nothing against any of the actors. I've got to make that completely clear because they're very great actors, all of them. But I just feel that the writing is lazy, and I think it's really weak, and they keep referring back to the old well of Star Trek, and I just feel they don't have enough courage or confidence to create their own, to carve out their own Star Trek universe, and I think that's a real shame, because you've got this talented group of people, and they're being fed crap lines and crap stories. I mean, Tilly, for example, she's a lovely girl, don't get me wrong, and she's a very talented actor.
She's destined for great things in Star Trek.
Indeed, but just this like spontaneous random line, and that's the power of mathematics. But there was no mathematics involved. All you did was just deploy this gravity device, and I just think, oh, come on, this is just weak. And I've got to say one last thing, Paddy, on this, is that when she walked into the quarters with Spock's quarters, and she's touching reverently his uniform and seeing all these items, yes, okay, it's fan service, okay, we get it, right? But it's like, come on, he's not God, and she's acting reverently around this stuff. I know it's a sister, and that's a whole nother issue completely, but I just think, come on, guys, be creative, stop going backwards, start looking forwards, create new enemies, new characters, have faith in your own creations rather than always going back and go, look, we've got the Spock, we've got the Enterprise, and then what happens? We see the Enterprise and it's broken.
Well, to come back at you at that, take a breath, get the pulse down. Basically, at some point they're going to, we go back to the original series, great characters, iconic, it's gone down in sort of folklore as one of the best TV series. It had a very short run as well. So at some point they're going to have to address the Kirk-Spock issue. Mm-hmm. Now they've only brought Spock into it, really. I doubt if we'll see Kirk or Bones or any of those other characters, or Scotty. You won't see me in it. But who knows if it goes to season 3 or a season 4 or a season 5? We may be introducing those characters. I thought they dealt with the fact the Enterprise wasn't involved in the war quite enough. The government, we were on a deep space mission in 5 years and all that, and that sort of made sense. And also the sort of explanation that had it all gone pear-shaped, at least they don't want the Federation to start off somewhere else. So I get that too. And of course it solves the problem was why didn't you bring a Constitution-class starship back that could have kicked a bit of ass? Yeah, better than some of the other ships did. But we'll see. We'll see.
I'm a massive loyal fan to Star Trek.
Yeah.
You know my passion for it.
And the Next Generation.
And all of them. Yeah. But I struggle with Discovery. and I think perhaps it's not true to maybe what I expect Trek to be. Whether that's right or wrong, there is no right or wrong, but I just feel that Kurtzman at the moment, the guy leading Star Trek, perhaps he's not a true fan. He doesn't quite get Trek. You see it time and time again where you have this common thread running through the season, especially in season 1, with section 31, hinting of it. And now with Spock.
Oh, wow.
And now with Spock in season 2, it's like, oh, look, Spock, we're dangling this. So Kurtzman and Abrams and all those guys, they worked on Lost, if you remember Lost, and they kept the mystery running through the whole season. And I feel that that's what they're doing with Trek now. They're keeping the mystery of Spock and what the Red Angel, whatever that may be, running through the whole season. And it's like, yeah, I get it. And maybe that's new and modern television, and that's what people expect. But Star Trek is about telling these morality plays in a confined 45-minute episode. And yes, there are 2-3 parters sometimes, but they're the exception, not the rule. And I miss that. Little bubble of an episode telling you a morality play and discovering a character or two on the ship and moving on.
They did have a couple of episodes in season 1 about that, but I suppose the problem with the season-long arc, and it was the same in Enterprise with the Xindi War, you have to sort of focus on that with the odd diversion off along the way.
Yeah.
You can't afford to go off to Rise every month and have a good time. And so yeah, and I guess from what you've said, it's about keeping the audience hooked for the next episode, instead of saying, oh, there's one done, let's move on to something else, and oh, that's one's done, and move on to something else, which is pretty much more what the Next Generation and the original series was about. So who knows?
But I speak to other fans who don't really understand or haven't been exposed to all of the 90s Trek, the Trek that came before, and they love Discovery. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that means a new generation of people discover Star Trek, and I'm all for that.
Well, you see, when you and I head off into the Nexus,
Yeah.
you'll need the new people coming along,
Yeah,
and clearly that's what they're targeting, and that's not a bad thing, because we were those people once with the original series, weren't we? So yes, and you're never going to satisfy the fan base, whether it's the bridge layout or the uniforms or the reworked Enterprise, which quite frankly has got to look better than the model they had for the original series. There's going to be a few more lights and bells and whistles on it. So there we are. I think we just need to. Well, you don't have to. Of course, you can do what you want, and if you don't want to watch Discovery, then don't watch it. But I would rather have Star Trek on the television, albeit not quite as good as we might like it, than not have it on the television, because I missed it when it wasn't on the telly.
Yeah, because we were in the wilderness for many years, weren't we?
Yeah.
When
and now we're going to have Star Trek series coming out of our ears.
Yeah, we've got Picard coming along, we've got the animated show, and we've got the section
31.
And we
So
don't.
now I think that's going to be brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to be sort of kick-ass SEAL team type, go in, Black Ops sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And Giorgio, she's brilliant. She played the Empress really, really well. So I think that's going to be a nice, for me, a nice action-based, bending the rules, undercover. And of course we had it with Bashir, in Deep Space Nine. So, yeah. But, I remember back to the first episodes when I saw the black combat, and I said to you, oh, that looks like Section 31.
Yeah.
And of course there was the scene at the end of the first season which wasn't shown, where she was approached in the bar and given a Section 31 badge. So yes, who knows? Those spin-off shows may become more important, and Discovery might die at the end of season 2.
I don't think it will, Paddy. I think the studio have got a lot of money invested in it, because say what you will about Discovery, the visuals are very good when they can afford good lighting, because we can actually see what's going on. There was one shot where the camera was outside of the ship running along the neck, and you could look in the windows and you could see the characters walk. I thought it was brilliant. So they do spend a lot of time, and there is love and there is care, and the actors do try their absolute best. It's just encouraging the writers to be a little bit more respectful of what's come before, but also have more faith and confidence in their own creations.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll see. I think you're going to have to get away from the season-long arc for Star Trek to return to what you would like it to be. And, you know, let's assume, you know, at the end of this, obviously we'll find out what the Red Angel's all about. We'll have Spock, you know, will he go back to Enterprise, obviously, and Pike will go back as well. And then what do you do with the next season? What do you know, what's going to be the focus on there? Is it going to be picking another character from Star Trek? And I was listening to a sort of a video blog on YouTube. They were talking about Garth of Anzar. You know, he was a very decorated Starfleet officer and then lost it. So maybe they go down that route, or
Well, how about this,
or a
Paddy?
new race, or the Breen, which we haven't really seen too much.
Well, what about, this is a crazy idea now, using one of their own characters, making Saru a captain.
Yeah.
So Saru follows Pike, a good captain, with good morals and a good example, learns from him over the season, develops, and becomes confident and experienced to become a captain. So, you know,
I know you're a big Doug Jones fan.
I am,
So
honestly.
Doug, if you're listening,
Great job, mate. Honestly,
he's on your side.
I'm 100% on your side. You're probably one of the strongest characters in all of Discovery.
Yeah.
And I only found out the other day that you were one of the silent baddies in Buffy. So brilliant. You know, you're a big fan of you. But one thing with Saru,
Whatever that means.
is when he walks, his hands drift behind it. I think that's really cool. But it just reminds me of wafting a little fart away. Whenever I see that, that's the first thought that. I don't do that personally, but
I'll just keep my hands available just in case.
all right, Paddy. Well, nice chatting with you.
Yeah.
We will review other episodes in the future and other seasons. We would love to know what you at home think of Discovery, especially the first episode. Please leave your comments on the YouTube channel and follow us on juststartrek.com. And go on.
Before we go,
Yeah.
I have to make an announcement. This wonderful captain here has had a child. Well, actually, his wife's had a child.
Yeah.
And guess, this is not deliberate, but it is. He's named the child after a character in Star Trek.
Indeed. Little Alexander,
Worf's son.
and hopefully he won't have all those...
Ridges.
Yeah.
Perhaps turn out a little bit less stroppy.
Yeah. Well, if there are ridges, there's definitely going to be a DNA test.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... But brilliant, thanks for that, Paddy. And please leave your comments below. Look forward to seeing you soon. So live long and prosper, and speak to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.